Hello and welcome back to Three Knocks at Midnight podcast. My name is Gato,
And I'm Gabe.
and we're here where we talk about all things scary, scary stories, scary movies, horror stories of fantasy and life, real life, and not just like supernatural, but things about real life, like stalkers and killers. And in this age and day, or is it day and age?
Day and age, I think.
In this day and age, something that's very scary is AI,
Yep.
artificial intelligence.
Robots taking over the world. Terminators, T-1000s,
Skynet.
Skynet, all that stuff. Today, uh, I watched the Acolyte trailer, the new Star Wars show, and what was so weird, and I sent you a screenshot of this earlier, was all of a
Yeah.
sudden the chat had all these coherent comments about the video. It made sense and it was like all that, but then they would throw in this random number or this characters AWM39V, and I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. And you scroll down and each comment would include this random string of numbers, and I have no idea what it is. It made me thinking,
Were they all like the same comment over and over again, or was it like just
no, it was like
different?
it was like sentient. Here's an example. It says, I love it when Trinity says, I mean, Trinity because it's referencing the actress Carrie-Anne Moss in the new trailer. It says, what is the Acolyte? It's out there and it will find you. And if you want it to, okay, that's weird. AWM39V was right. Thanks for letting us know about AWM39V. And AM39V is in bold, right? What makes it even weirder and what tipped me off was that as part of the quote, it says, I love it when Trinity says, and you'd use quotation marks, right? This one says ampersand and it's the and symbol, QUOT. So it's almost like a bot created this
Yeah.
comment. You scroll down and it's always talking about like the trailer, like correctly. It like talks about it, explains what happened in a scene, and then it just randomly throws in this random characters.
But how many of the comments have that code in it?
Let's see. Let's say like maybe a good 10% of them, and it's so confusing because I don't know.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I don't even know what this is. I tried looking it up, and I have no idea what it is. And
It's one of those bizarre things, but it really makes you question everything. So, um, should we talk about what I found out about it?
yeah,
So, when I looked it up, because I looked it up a little bit later than when you sent me the link
right,
or the screenshot. I mean,
yeah,
and so I looked it up, and the thread that I found was pretty new, and even in that thread, it was from Reddit. Some people were saying that they were hoping to find answers and they didn't. But finally, somebody said that it's a crypto scam, that it kind of like lures you into buy the crypto. I mean, with crypto, you never know, right?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a bunch of scam bots. But it's interesting to me because, you know, back in the day, quote unquote, back in the day, like scam stuff like that with links used to be just the same thing over and over again. Like it was kind of like spam bot
Right, right.
with like links and stuff like that. But these ones, they're saying things. They're actually, I guess you could say, somewhat coherent, and then they still add the scam onto it. So definitely, this is not something that a bunch of people got together and everybody decided to go inundate the comments with their crypto scam. Uh, this I very much believe it was in the hands of AI.
Yeah,
Like
it's yeah.
I don't. Well, and that's the thing. Is like I don't claim to understand how they do it, but I have no way to prove that it isn't right.
Yeah. No, we're at a point where AI can read what's on screen and explain what is happening, what it's seeing, what it's happening. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this kind of proves it. I mean, I don't know if AI read this. Maybe someone wrote a program to read what's happening and then try to plug in AWMV, whatever. But the fact that this is possible, that means what makes you what how could you not think that there are possibly bots already among us? Like this AI thing's already being used. Like I'm reading these comments and I'm like, how do I know these are real people? You know? What if these are just people padding the system, padding the algorithm? How do we even know if it's Google trying to do this? You know, I always thought about it as like, you know, when you get all your random views and then you check your subscriber list and it's like 10 people and then your numbers
Yeah,
say 300, right? And
yeah,
you're
yeah,
like, what?
yeah.
Who are these? Like, like the whole default profile thing. You know how you can make your profile private and hidden? I don't think that's on by default. But like, how do we know? I mean, I'm fine. I mean, thanks for the views, but how do we know Google isn't even actually controlling the amount of views you're getting, the amount of subscribers, these real quote unquote subscribers, just to pad to make us feel good, but also make
Right.
the ad people think, oh yeah, they're getting a ton of views. Let's pay Google to run our ads.
It's really interesting because I found this out as well. Like reading through comments, even in my channel, some comments just don't make a lot of sense, but they're there, right?
Yeah.
And it's getting harder to differentiate who's a real person and who it isn't because I mean, I don't intend this to be mean. I'm not saying this to be mean or anything like that, but there are people that really just don't have the right like they don't know how to have a like how to comment, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
Etiquette, like common etiquette.
Sure. You know how they like sometimes older people on Facebook instead of googling something they're posting on their status and they're
Oh
like
yeah.
tell me a recipe for this,
Yep.
and then somebody will see
Yeah.
that on their Facebook status and be like, this isn't Google, but here you go, here's your answer, kind of thing. So I feel like sometimes that technology can be a little hard for some people, and I don't think that I don't know. There are people that can leave weird comments. That's what I'm trying to say.
I believe it. Yeah.
But along with that, because that happens, I think that AI comments can also blend in, and even to some extent, I feel like they can be more normal sounding than real people. And
Yeah.
it's just interesting to read some of the comments that I've gotten before where you just don't know. It's it's crazy.
Yeah. There was a report. I'm reading this report. Um, report in 2022 by this global analysis automated bot thing, making they call it the bad bot report, that there was 70 or 47.4% of all internet traffic came from bots.
Wait, what percentage was that?
47%.
Whoa, that's a lot. But is that because of people using ChatGPT? Is it taking that into
Uh,
account?
it probably doesn't take that into account. It's a very broad statistic. But the fact that we actually have statistics based on it, or the fact that we're actually listening or watching for it, tells you that we're at a spot where there could be just bots out there.
Does this make you wonder if bots are becoming sentient?
I'm sure they will be. Not right now, at least to me. At least in my opinion, I don't think they're. quite sentient yet.
But do you think we're gonna get to that point? Maybe okay. So sentient, that might be the wrong word, but you know what we see in movies, what we saw in movies 10, 15 years ago, like AI robot or The Creator, even that just came out what, a year ago or something like that, where like robots have a function, but the more they're around, I think they are good at um receiving information and adapting to new information that they're getting, and therefore them wanting to do more. Does that kind of make sense, the way I'm
Yeah,
phrasing this question?
like they're not fully sentient, but they can figure out the next move. They can plan a next move, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And like I
Yeah.
wonder, like, do you think we're gonna get there anytime soon, the way AI is evolving these days?
Yeah. I think when ChatGPT first came out, um, an example someone said was, "Make me money." That's what the prompt said. And what it did, it looked through a bunch of databases online, looking for like money that was probably owed to you based on your name.
Oh.
Have you heard of the website? I already forgot it. But apparently, there's a website that you can go to. It's a government website
Hmm.
where you type in your name and it tells you how much money is owed to you. Maybe
Oh,
money you never claimed.
no. I remember seeing about this on I don't know if it was a YouTube short or maybe a TikTok video, but I know I went into it and there was no money owed to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I checked. I had like 30 cents owed to me.
From like the IRS or what?
I have I don't remember. But I was like, 30 cents? Yeah, no, not wasting my time. But like that's an example of like the Chat GPT or these AI bots being able to figure out something.
Well, okay, so the thing is, like, with ChatGPT, and I think one of the things that had people like very concerned when it was kind of new, I don't know if you remember that that news article where they were talking to ChatGPT to the point where the chat was saying like, "Oh, I don't want to die," or something like that. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
So,
Was
yeah,
okay.
it like it talked about it in the chat, like the chat was responding like that, and it really looked like you were talking to a person. Like it was very convincing. And then they like shut it down, right? And so the people that created that chat, they were saying like, no, it's meant to look like that, but there's no sentient being behind it. But the
Yeah.
thing is, like, now we have like the technology to create robots, because you know they've been working on creating like these actual ergonomic robots that like run around and stuff like that, um to do like heavy labor and stuff like that. So now what they're doing is they're installing this AI into the machines.
Mm.
And so imagine that instead of like chatting to a chat GPT, you're like actually literally chatting, like you're talking
Yep.
to a
Yeah.
robot, and you lead it to this point where even the robot's like, I don't want to die. So it's like it's learning, but it's scary, I think, to think that we're gonna get to that point where we're not even gonna be able to know whether it's real or not.
I think it depends on that example, because you could tell an AI, "Hey, this is what death is. When you die, you no longer exist." And for an example, as a computer, you might get shut off and get unplugged. And then you ask it, "Oh, do you want to die?" And then it'll say, "Oh, I don't want to die." Like, it could be led into thinking that. So it doesn't really truly, I mean, does it really understand what death is?
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know?
But is it gonna be convincing enough for people?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the true horror that can come of AI is, I was watching this podcast, The Diary of a CEO, and he had a guest on that was an ex Google officer, right? I think his name was Mustafa Suleiman. I think Google AI exec X. Yeah. Um, and his one of the big points he had was that it was gonna not only take jobs, but the more scary part is the human connection. It's gonna die out.
That is scary.
You know, the creativity aspect. Um, he even touched on like the AI making Drake songs, you know, and it's the idea of taking jobs, and then you have these bot robots that men will use instead of finding a female companion, all that stuff,
It's like Blade Runner almost.
right?
But I well, yeah, it's a scary. I mean, the thing is like we don't need AI and robots for people to stop, you know, um becoming disconnected with human socialization. I mean, even from just like Snapchat, Instagram, and other social media apps, it feels like there's already a bit of a disconnect in social interactions. So much to the point
Yeah.
where people would prefer to text, um, or I mean, even like a face call, right? A FaceTime call. But they'll do that over wanting to meet up in person. And I think that's already very telling is that again, we didn't need like
Yeah.
an artificial intelligence to get us to that point. And now we're getting like it's going so fast. And if we start having like robots to talk to, then people this might be a very this is a very generalized comment, but like imagine somebody that doesn't have like pretty good social skills to talk to people, right?
Yeah.
And so they decide, well, I'm just going to make a friend out of ChatGPT, and they create friends with the computers. That's going to make it even worse because like sure, you'll get like some satisfaction out of like being able to have a social life, so to speak, but you're not really socializing, you're just feeding into an algorithm. And then we're going to have cases like Her, the movie Her.
Oh, I actually want to see that movie. I haven't seen it, but that's on my list.
Oh, dude. It's such a good movie. And the thing is, like, that is something that I can see becoming a real thing, like, very, very soon. And so it's scary to think that you might interact with somebody who hasn't interacted with a human in a long time, you know?
No, I think that's what the scary part is. It's that human connection. We're gonna lose it soon. But I think, like you said, we already did with texting. That's the joke. We're like, oh, let's text instead of talking to one another. But then now it's not even. We're gonna even take out the human to human. It's gonna be a human to bot interactions.
I like, well, I think it's kind of funny that when texting was a thing, you would only text your friends. You wouldn't text your, at least me, I wouldn't text my family. I would call my family still, but I would text my friends. But then it evolved into like, well, now I'm texting my mom and my mom's texting me back and she's sending me emojis for every sentence that she's putting in the text, right? But it was still kind of like texting was reserved for like close friendships and socialization. But when it came to like official business, or stuff like that, it would still be a phone call. But then now we do sales without even talking to a person. Like you could put something on Facebook Marketplace and sell or buy something and never talk to the person in person.
Yeah.
It could all literally be like just texting, and then you're like, hey, I'm gonna Venmo you. You Venmo half of it, you go to the place and the item's already on the porch. There's
on the porch.
No contact. Same thing with ordering food. I mean, you order food or you place the order, you don't talk to anybody anymore. You used to call Domino's and be like, "Yeah, Domino's Pizza, can I take your order?" And then, and you still interact with the delivery person. Now they leave it on your porch and people don't even open the door until the DoorDash person like drives away. It's like,
No way.
yeah,
What? That's a thing now?
yeah. Um,
Wow.
and I don't know, maybe this is a personal experience, but we've gotten to a point where in jobs, you can text your manager. And like the fact that you're in a texting place with management at a workplace, that to me is so bizarre. It's like it's an official place, it's a business place. And I feel like talking to someone in person should be like a matter of respect. And now
Yeah.
we've gone down to texting only. Man, it's kind of like a spiral, isn't it?
I mean, it's worked its way up to that point. I mean, it started with texting. I mean, on the flip side, that's what probably, I think people said that about TV. They said that about phones. They even said that about books.
They said that about books?
Yeah, apparently. Apparently, they said books was gonna be like the disaster apocalypse of the world. Maybe that's a little extreme.
Wait, was it books or was it newspapers?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was newspapers as well.
Because I remember, no. I remember like a picture of people on their phones and people being mad. It's like, look at that. Nobody's talking to each other. They're all like glued to their phones and stuff like that. And like back in my day, we talked to people, we socialized. And then they showed a picture from like the 1940s where people are all reading the newspaper. And then they make a joke about it saying like, oh, look at all these people, like no cell phones in sight, like just interacting with each other, but not really because they're all reading the newspaper.
Literally. Yeah, exactly, right?
So
I don't know.
do you that's the thing is like well, here's my thought on that. I feel humans are good at adapting to all of these new situations. The scary part though is that 100 years ago technology was advancing at a very slow pace, and now we have a new phone every 6 months. There's new software updates every day. Like technology is advancing so fast that I feel like it's gonna like surpass us in a way.
I think that might be the problem. Because I mean, if you even think about it, like the whole kids with phones thing, right? That's like a big no right now. But then back then, it was TV. But nowadays, no one really says anything about TV. I mean, I guess there is. They say screen time, right? But the focus isn't on that as much, opposed to phones, phones, screen time. And it might become the norm in the future. Just phones, kids with phones. We'll probably have a better understanding of its effects. I think the reason why we're so scared of it is because we don't know the effects of it yet.
Not
Just
the
like
long term.
Yeah, with AI, we don't know the effects long term yet. And I think the scary part is it's like Jurassic Park, where what's his face, Dr. Ian, was saying, "Oh, before you understood it, you packed it, you put a lunchbox, and blah blah." Before you, what was the quote? He says, you spent all this time trying to figure out if you can, and rather opposed to if you should." And I think that's, and then we see in Jurassic Park that was a bad idea, and blah blah blah.
Well,
yeah.
Everything we see in movies, it's funny because we see it in movies all the time.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it's like things of the future. So we're like, yeah, well, it's sci-fi, it's exaggerated. But every movie about AI has been bad. Like if you look at the movie that came out, I think it was 1999 or maybe 2000 with Jude Law and Haley Joel Osment. It's called AI, Artificial Intelligence. It's the same.
Good movie, by the way.
It is. It's really good. It's a very similar premise to The Creator. But in those things, we see that there's like basically a war between people that like robots and people that don't like robots, kind of thing, like AI.
Yeah.
But then we
Yeah.
have movies like The Terminator. We have movies like Age of Ultron, which is not the greatest movie out there, but I do think that to an extent, the idea that artificial intelligence could become so, I don't want to say smart, but have enough information that if somebody literally was like, hey, you should protect Earth, the algorithm or the knowledge that it has really could say, well, humans kill each other all the time. So to save Earth, we're just going to kill all humans. And then it's going to create an army of robots and destroy humanity, right? Like, it's funny because I know it's movie, I know it's fantasy,
Right.
but the way AI is moving, it's a little scary that who knows, maybe we could get to that point where even though it's a program thing, maybe not, it's not a sentient AI, but it's a program that still decides, yeah, we're just gonna get rid of all y'all bio people.
All non-synthetics,
Yeah.
right? It's funny that you bring up the creator because I think I watched this thing on YouTube about how uh media slash Hollywood or whatever, there's this push to try to say how good AI is, how AI isn't a bad thing, right? Because in the example of the creator, we're meant to sympathize with the AIs, right?
Right.
Because America's the bad guy trying to kill it. I mean, they have the reasons to try to kill the AI or destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
But now there's other examples that this video showed where I forgot, but it was other movies trying to create a positive sentiment with AI, and that could be a scary thing too because now we're slowly getting lulled into this idea that AI is not that bad. Let them do what they want to do until it's too late that we've given it too much control, and now we're in this spot where we can't go back.
It all started with Tamagotchi, the digital pet. Taking care of it, we've been
Uh,
conditioned to care for digital beings. And then we have video games who make us care about digital characters.
yeah, yeah.
That's very extreme. I don't actually like mean that, but it's just an interesting thought. Just it's I'm excited and terrified to see how it all evolves from here.
I'm not worried. I'm actually excited for it
Because you're gonna have an AI
because
servant
I just don't think the world will end in that sense.
with robots.
Yeah. I don't think we'll ever get to Skynet. I don't think that'll, because if we had all these nuclear weapons, right, and all that stuff, and all the movies predicted that we're all just going to shoot each other with nukes, it hasn't happened yet, right? And I use the word yet.
I know. I'm
But
like, well, keyword is yet.
but I think there's, oh man, what was this thing? Did I ever show you? Did we ever talk about the UFO thing? Where it talks about how why haven't we found like really good like UFO evidence yet? And this guy had, I forgot, he had like a bunch of theories, and one of them was um he called it the Great Blocker or something, the Great something, where there's this force which just prevents catastrophe from happening. Like the example he gave was the whole nuclear stuff. Like we've all had nuclear weapons, we all had the opportunity to use it. Why hasn't it been used yet? And I think it's this great, man, now I can't think of it. The Great Blocker. I wish I could look it up.
Yeah, do it.
But it was along those lines where like there's always just gonna be this force that will prevent the end of the world.
Hmm.
That was like the summary of it, at least for one of the theories he was presenting. Here we go.
Ooh, you
Yes.
found it nice.
So it's a video by Big Think. This guy named, let me see his name. Um, I guess his name's not important, but he talks about it's called the Fermi paradox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he calls it the great filter. There you go, the great filter.
Okay.
Like we've had, he brings up rocketry, right? The reason why we haven't found aliens was of this great filter. There's like some cosmic stopping force that prevents us from uh, seeing alien life forms, seeing climate change. You know, we talk about how bad climate change is, and well, I mean, we're still living. Our world hasn't burned yet, or it's not exploding. Maybe it's heading towards it, but there's this idea that there's something, a great filter that's going to prevent it from happening, and I think that applies to AI as well.
So you're saying that all the doomsday preppers are right, but also wrong?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they're right about it, but at
But it will
some
never
point
happen.
in time, they'll be wrong.
Yeah. He attributes it to like almost a law of nature.
We always succeed. We always come
Yep.
winning in the
Yep.
end
Yep. Yep.
because we
There's always
are
something.
human and humans are the best.
And if you are religious, it could be the very thing, the very God that prevents it from happening. I don't know.
He's just like, no, not yet.
Right?
It's not apocalypse now. It's apocalypse later.
So, I mean, that was an interesting idea.
That is, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
super interesting.
like, I'm surprised the wording, the great filter. It's, I mean, the whole idea of the cosmics and stuff, that's a whole nother topic. That's horrific in itself. Like, I want to talk about this one video I saw on YouTube called, it's like the future of the universe.
Oh, I've seen
Oh,
it.
man.
I've seen
Right?
it, and it is terrifying.
It's
It
terrifying.
like
I think that would be a good topic for next time.
we should. I think, I mean, when now that you've brought aliens into it a little bit, and not that we're gonna get into aliens right now, but I think we should talk about it, um, because there's like no evidence, but there's a lot of people that claim that there's evidence. There's people like from Skinwalker Ranch,
Yeah.
which I think it's alien related, or maybe it's like just supernatural in other ways. But I met somebody that worked in that show.
Oh,
He,
like a production or
yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
like a
He was a
cast?
camera guy.
Oh my gosh. Can we have him as a guest?
I'll see if I can get his contact information,
Ah, that'd be so great.
because that
Oh
would
my
be cool.
goodness.
Because he like lightly talked about it, but we were all working, so I didn't get a
Yeah.
chance to like really get into the conversation. But I mean, I started the show. I thought it was really interesting. I did get busy when I was watching it, and so I stopped. But I think it's super interesting. I like the fact that it happened really close to us, like same state. Obviously, it's here in Utah. I don't know if people know that we're in Utah. We're in Utah. um, but I think it would be super interesting to talk about it, because I do know that somebody asked them, "So have you seen things?" And he responded with, "Well, didn't you see the show? We literally recorded it. There's things, there's something out there." And that's all I heard. And then I had to like leave, and I was like, "There's something out there. What?" I'm going to see. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of him, cuz that would be super interesting to talk about that. It'd be interesting to see some alien stories as well. I think
Yes.
our viewers would enjoy some UFO/alien stories, personal stuff. So
That's a great idea. Well, guys, what did you think? What do you think about AI? Do you think it's going to end the world? Do you think Skynet will take over? Are you excited for it? Are you like me where you're not worried about it? Or are you like everyone else?
hey, I said I'm excited too. Terrified, but also excited.
Yeah, it's a little terrifying.
I long for an AI friend to walk around my house and clean it for me while I play Helldivers.
Ooh. Yeah, there we go. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see the new Google bots?
No.
Was it Google or Tesla? Tesla, where you can they're eventually saying you can rent these bots for $10 a day and they will do your housework.
Whoa.
I mean, that's the future, right?
I've not heard about this.
Like, how great would that be? I mean, you figure out the whole like killing you and scaring and all that stuff. And, like, aside that, the horrific stuff. How crazy would that be to have a helper?
It literally will be like Detroit. Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
Because they're there to do chores. That's their whole purpose.
Here's the even, I mean, now that they think about it, like going back to the Google AI guy, right? Imagine if all of us could afford these bots. They do all our house chores, and then we don't have the opportunity to teach that to our kids. Like, what kind of generation are we raising that? We'll be like, oh no, the bot will do the chores. They'll clean up. You spill your milk and it cleans it right away, and you don't give your kids the opportunity to learn to like clean up after themselves or to fix a mistake they made. Like, what kind of effect would that have on the psyche of a
Ooh,
child
that's very interesting.
and their
question.
ability to grow up in the world, you know?
I am very interested to see what our viewers have to say about that. Would does that mean that we would just kind of adapt somehow, or that it's like literally our responsibility to, educate our children despite them having like an easy way out? Are we still gonna like educate them
Right?
enough to, clean up after themselves and stuff like that? Or will we be creating a Wall-E world, basically, where everybody's just lazy and robots take care of
Yeah.
everything else? Man, I hope we don't get to that point.
Like, they'll be fixing your car and you have to like manually force yourself to not have the robot do it so you can teach your kids.
Oh,
Like, I could see that. Like, if you think about it, right? Back in the day, we didn't have cars and all that stuff. People were forced to walk, meaning, there was probably less obesity problems because you're forced to walk. Nowadays, like, you walk for fun, you walk to exercise when you don't have to. I wonder if it's gonna be like that where you don't have to use your AI bot to clean your dishes. You don't have to,
right.
like, you have to mentally force yourself now to not be lazy.
I mean, some skills
Oh
are good to
man,
have. I mean, when technology
right?
fails, it's good to be able to do things yourself. So I'd like to be an advocate for, being able to do things yourself. And I like to think that I'll teach my children to learn things, but that's the thing is like
Yeah.
we also have to adapt with the world. We can't just be people that, like imagine now somebody that doesn't have a car or somebody that doesn't have a computer. A computer used to be a luxury, but now it's kind of a necessity. Like you kind of
Yeah.
need a computer to be able to function with society to the fullest, I guess I should say. Um, so it's hard to envision somebody that can survive without a car or without a computer. So in the future, if AI becomes like the norm where robots are doing certain chores and stuff like that, although I do think it's good to know how to do things, I do believe that we'll be having to adapt to it
Yeah.
if we want to function with society.
Yeah, I think that's everyone will be forced to do it. It'll be like a survival of the fittest, but instead of with like life survival, it's technology survival.
Do you think we're gonna get into a societal status with robots? So like with iPhones, like, oh, which iPhone do you have? Oh, I got the newest
Yeah.
iPhone. Oh, you only have the iPhone 8. And then we're gonna be literally doing the same thing but with robots. Oh, I got
Maybe.
the T1050 and you only have T800, like, and that's
It's like
what.
a class thing.
Yeah. Like we'll become more classist as
You
technology
got the
progresses.
green bubble robot. I have the blue bubble robot.
That's the real scary stuff right there.
Right? I don't know, man. That's way ahead, man. That's way ahead. Yeah. We'll see.
We will.
We shall see.
All right. Well, tell us your predictions. Tell us how you feel about AI, the way things are moving these days. And will you be getting a robot or will you be against it? Let us know in the comment section. If you enjoyed the podcast and you've been with us this whole time, feel free to leave a like, subscribe for more content we upload every week. If you have any topics that you'd like us to talk about, please let us know as well in the comment section below. And if it's scary enough or interesting, scary enough, we will talk about it. Until next time, I am Gato.
And I'm Gabe. Farewell.
Peace.